I realized making money is not just half the battle. It's protecting it.
Yes.
That's the real key. Actually, nobody really wants an offshore trust. I have one. I don't want the offshore trust. I want the benefit of the offshore trust, which is protection, but it's also peace of mind.
The biggest point there is you can't become great at anything unless you do it enough times.
An offshore trust is an excellent tool for protection from lawsuits and divorce. It does not do anything in terms of taxes. It's actually a tax-neutral structure. What ends up happening is people pay these settlements and they become victims of legal extortion. There are thousands of lawsuits filed every single day. There's over 10 million lawsuits filed every single year. There are billions of dollars ordered to be paid out in judgments every few days.
The reality is that I think that every small to mid-sized business owner who's put their blood, sweat, and tears into building a family business should consider it.
Lots of people out there who copy my content. That's okay. They can't copy my culture. That's part of our DNA.
There's one thing that all champions have in common. They get shit done. So welcome to the Get Shit Done Experience. Well, we are back at it again. Yes, this is the Get Shit Done Experience, also known as the GSDX podcast. I'm so grateful. I just checked. We've just crossed 500,000 views on YouTube to our full episodes and clips combined. I'm so proud of that. 48 episodes in to cross 500,000 views. Thank you so much for all of you that have contributed, taken a look, taken a peek. We really appreciate it. We're continuing to grow and scale, and we're doing this because we have amazing guests that come on. It's certainly not about this bald-headed nut. It's about the guests that come on the show. And today we've got a powerhouse. Yes, we have attorney Blake Harris. He is the managing director of the world's largest exclusively offshore asset protection law firm. He's got 250,000 followers on TikTok. He's a speaker. He's an author. He's out of Miami, by way of Denver, by way of New York, Dubai, 40 countries. You got to check him out on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, and you could certainly read about him in Forbes, Market Watch, and more. So, Blake, you've been a little bit busy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. Yes, I have been a little bit busy, but having a good time, and let's dig in.
I got to tell you, Blake, as I mentioned before we started, I kind of have to bring this up because I had like the fifth guest I had on was absolutely dressed to the nines. Then somebody else came on and blew them out of the water. You now have the award for the coolest jacket. Where's the jacket from? Let's start with that.
I picked this up on the streets of Miami Beach a few months ago. It called me, and it just felt right. But for how loud and memorable the jacket is, I think the podcast and what's going to come out of my mouth might even be more memorable.
I love it. You were on another podcast I saw. I've been watching your content clips. If you think that you have a stalker, that would be me. I've been scrolling through all of your content. Pretty fun stuff. So give us a little bit of a background. We like to start out always with a little bit of an origin story. Like, as a kid, I wanted to be a baseball player. I'm certainly that when you were a child, you probably were watching a lot of Matlock, right? And you wanted to be an attorney, huh?
I knew what I wanted to be when I was a child.
No kidding.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
Rich.
Yeah, there you go.
And I came up with a plan. The first time I got my hands on some money was when I was in kindergarten. Each day before school, our parents were supposed to give us $1, and then we'd take that $1 and buy lunch. I realized that if we had forgotten our $1, they would still feed us. We were just 6 years old. And after forgetting my $1 every day for about a month, the school contacted my parents, and parents said, "What are you talking about? We have been sending Blake with $1. So the school did what I considered to be a completely illegal and inappropriate search and seizure of my cubby and found the stacks of cash that I had accumulated. And at that moment, I realized making money is not just half the battle. It's protecting it.
Yes.
That's the real key. And that really might have been what inspired me to end up where I am here today.
That's pretty cool. So you were flashing the cash, but in order to protect it, you really couldn't be showing it too much. You kind of had it.
I wasn't even flashing it. I was just storing in the back of the cubby.
So it was an offshore locker?
So no, it was a domestic locker, which is why I had to stay the heck away from any domestic asset protection strategies.
That's the mistake, is that you had it in state, right?
Exactly.
There's always savings, but it's about way more than savings alone. Total Technology Solutions Group redefines managed print services. Excellence is the minimum standard. TTSG is a true managed print service provider, deeply understanding your technology and business goals. Your business is unique. Our solutions are tailored to your current and future business goals. Our customer-first approach empowers and delights. TTSG can ensure your technology environment will scale as your business does. So as you navigate business and constant change, partner with TTSG for premium advisement and seamless implementation of your technology goals. We set the bar high. Your people deserve it. Peace of mind, powerful innovation, TTSG.com. So what was childhood like as far as like your upbringing and how you how were you mentored, if you will? How were you raised?
So I am very blessed for the childhood that I had. I had a father who was an attorney as well, completely different type of law, but I watched as he grew his practice and watched as he marketed that practice, and he was very aggressive about that. He was also one who, although financially we were comfortable, he did not give us a luxurious, or I wouldn't say an easy life. He had a lot of adversity that he put on us, and working in his business, working outside of his business, various different projects. And so I really was blessed in the sense that I did grow up around wealth and could learn to speak the language of the wealthy, but I grew up with a work ethic and a mentality of somebody who was raised very poor and had to struggle through a lot of things on their own, and it instilled entrepreneurship in me from a very young age. I'd started some businesses back when I was in high school. And then the counter to that was having a mother who absolutely had the heart of gold. So I had a father who was very tough on us, a mother who's very loving for us, and enough that we felt loved, but also felt pushed to grow. And I couldn't be more thankful for my childhood and my parents.
The yin yang, good cop, bad cop kind of methodology. Right. I love that. Yeah. Yep. I had a similar thing. It was a lot of wooden spoon threats, but never used, just the threats of wait till dad gets home, right?
You know, that's my theory with my own children. I don't believe that a father needs to beat the children, but I think the children need to be afraid of that.
It needs to be a threat.
I think the fear of your father, the fear of God is a very healthy, good thing for most people.
Yeah, I have a saying in my house that the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yep.
So you talked about the fundamentals that maybe your dad instilled in you of, you got to work hard. So he didn't just give it to you. He made you work hard for it. Like, what were some of those fundamentals and that you can remember back? Because I think oftentimes we look back and we go, oh, that's what he meant by that. And then we apply that, or we teach other people that. What are some of the fundamentals that you were taught that you apply now?
Well, just even once I started my business over 10 years ago, there were times when money got tight and I got nervous, and I was reminded that you want to come home, we've got a place for you to stay, we've got food for you, but we're not funding the lifestyle of an adult. And if you want to build your own business, you're going to build it on your own. And when I started my business, I was out in Colorado, where I hadn't grown up, where I hadn't gone to school, where I really didn't know anybody. But because of that, each time I was able to get a client, I treated that client like they were gold. It just gave them the best possible experience. And that was the model that we still use 10 years later, having serviced 1,000+ clients. We still treat each one like they're our own very special client. So it's really great learning the value of a client, learning the value of a dollar, and appreciating each one.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think are some of the keys to building out that kind of brand model? Obviously, you talked about, I love that you talked about creating an experience, because for me, like, that's the whole thing. You have to create a brand experience. Like, what are kind of your fundamentals there to building that out as it relates to a law practice?
So there's a few principles, but while my firm, we set up a lot of offshore trusts over the past few years, probably set up more offshore trusts than any other law firm in the world. Clients are not coming to us because they want an offshore trust. Actually, nobody really wants an offshore trust. I have one. I don't want the offshore trust. I want the benefit of the offshore trust, which is protection, but it's also peace of mind. And that is what we are communicating to clients every step of the process. From the first time that they come across me on some podcast, on the first time they find me on social media, I want them to hear me speak with confidence. And then when they contact our law firm, they visit our website. It's very professional. It's very comprehensive. It's probably the single best place on the entire internet for information on offshore asset protection. Once they contact us, they get a response very quickly. And very soon thereafter, they're speaking with one of the attorneys at our firm who's going to qualify to see if they'd be a good fit for setting up an offshore structure. And then the process from there continues to be very smooth. So it's very much about communicating peace of mind. And you do this throughout the entire process, from the marketing to the sales step to through the initial consultation, through the time the life of a client. So it's all about giving people the utmost peace of mind, not just that they are working with the right law firm, but their money is protected and that they're going to be working with only the most reputable in the industry when they work with us.
So the IRS tax code.
Yep.
What do they say? It's like 5 times the size of the Bible or something like that. I mean, it's like 80,000 words, some crazy number. Is it designed to benefit those that understand it, or is it designed to penalize those that don't, or both?
Well, both. I mean, writing the rules is definitely in your favor. Now, I do want to distinguish between what an offshore trust can do and what an offshore trust cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
An offshore trust is an excellent tool for protection from lawsuits and divorce. It does not do anything in terms of taxes. It's actually a tax-neutral structure. It does not increase your tax liability. It does not decrease it. You do have to report to the IRS that you have an offshore trust, but they don't penalize you. They don't increase your chance of being audited because you have an offshore trust. And we give every one of our clients a detailed memorandum on how to complete those reporting requirements. And if need be, we can refer them to a CPA in our network who can help them complete the reporting requirements. But to answer your question, yes, the tax code is a mess. And when setting up structures, there are advantages and disadvantages to having complex structures. An S corp, for example, I understand is a lot less likely to be audited than an LLC. An offshore structure, there's not a lot of people at the IRS, relatively speaking, who are qualified to audit an offshore structure. So it's important that it's reported, but it doesn't increase your chance of an audit.
Okay. So you built this, you started this 10 years ago. Walk us through, like, how did you retain your first client? What was that like?
So started in 2013, so a little bit over 10 years ago. I was out in Denver, Colorado, where I really didn't know anybody other than my wife and children, and the firm that I just left. I worked for another trust firm for a little while before starting my own firm. And I got on the internet and I just started building a website and running AdWords. I think I was using a credit card and pulling myself into debt to try to get that first client.
For like SEO?
And SEO. I was working on SEO, but SEO can take a year or so before you start getting any results. But if you grind with it long enough, you do get results. And Google advertising moves you right to the very top. And I remember one of my first clients, it was actually a younger person, and they came in, they hired me, and I was like, all right, well, there's something here. And kind of like anything else, if the well is feeding you, you continue to go back to it. And over time, what used to be my monthly budget for AdWords is now my daily budget for AdWords. Yeah. And it's grown. And it's been a phenomenal experience watching a law firm. Well, I wouldn't say watching because you're actually building it, but building a law firm. I took some time off about 6 months ago. I'd never really taken any time off of work. I took an entire week off of work and really thought back and realized I'm very proud of what I've built. It's taken some time. It's caused me as an individual to very much change and develop and grow. I started the law firm, and initially my job was to be the paralegal. I mean, I was the finder, the minder, the grinder, the entire soup to nuts. And then over time, didn't take too long. I was able to hire that first paralegal, which definitely freed me up to focus more on the sales side and the marketing side. And then over the past year, I built out quite a sales team, and I've trained them on how to educate people on offshore trust. And then with that, I have then shifted my responsibilities more to marketing, going on podcasts like this, John, but also culture. And I'm very focused on building the right culture with my firm, because that's something that is very unique to us that nobody else can take away from us. And then also finding more outside providers, meeting with heads of banks and trust companies and seeing if we can get better service or better pricing for our clients. So I'm always out there advocating on behalf of the law firm, on behalf of our clients. And we've got a great team, a team that I stand by 1,000%, that does everything from closes the initial business to taking care of clients throughout the process. That being said, I'm still available to my clients. If clients would like to speak to me, I still will speak with them directly. But having a great team behind you is really a wonderful thing.
Okay, so you hit on something that I'm really curious about, because I came from selling services, consulting, not legal, but similar in that you're selling a bit of, concept, a little bit of hopium, if you will, right? Here's the challenge. It doesn't have to be that way. Here's some ideas, get it to the expert, right?
Yep.
And so I'm really curious when you talk about the sales team and getting them trained, like, How are you doing this in this new world of social media? Are you putting a lot of time and emphasis into social selling? Is it still ground and pound, knocking on doors, making phone calls? Like, what's the metrics that you're using for sales teams in a law practice?
Okay, so, well, two kind of different things there. And just a quick side note. Hoping I'm adding that to my lexicon.
Isn't that cool, right?
So in terms of training the sales team, my main partner, Ollie, I had him come and basically follow me around for an entire month. And we take calls from 9 a.m. Eastern till midnight. And he followed me around. And not only did he learn the business and what you need to say in order to close the client, but he also learned about how we do business. And he tells a story about how one day I had him go to the gym with me, and on the way home from the gym, it started raining, but a phone call came in, and he saw me climb pretty much almost into a gutter to take a phone call. And he's like, wow, that is real dedication.
Yeah.
And that is what we do for our clients at my firm. And that is the mentality that he adopted because he saw that I adopted it as well. So the training very much in person. We do virtual training as well. We run a virtual or a remote office where we have people in about 5 different countries across 3 or 4 different continents. And so we do lean into the power of the internet and being able to work remotely. And that's a wonderful thing. And I like that my team doesn't have to waste time commuting, that they have the ability to relocate, that they can get to spend more time with their family. However, I'm a big believer in the in-person meeting and the power of in-person connection. So we do that as well. The team gets together a few times a year in various different locations, and various different groups, members of the team get together from time to time. So in the world of the internet, we use the internet for training, but we also do a lot of in-person training as well. On the flip side of that, how is social media affecting the business? Well, it's very much affecting the business, and it's going to be affecting your business more and more in the years to come. If you want to be prepared for the future, you need to be on social media. And here's something that it takes to be successful on social media. Well, there's a few things it takes, but number one, I believe, is faith. A belief that it's going to come back to you. When you first build that website, you're not getting any SEO. When you start your Instagram account and maybe you follow a few people you know, and you start posting every single day, and you're wondering why you don't get any leads, it's because you haven't done it long enough. Mm-hmm. Partially. I mean, your content maybe needs to improve, but if you don't start posting mediocre content today, you're not going to learn from that mediocre.
You never get the chops.
Content. And you got to build that skill. Your first video is not going to go viral, but you can very much build a law practice on social media. Mm-hmm. It takes time. It takes effort, and I think that social media presence is going to be a lot more, is going to perform a lot better if you're also doing the in-person side of it. I find that people tend to market their business well one of 2 ways and lousy the other of 2 ways. So there's the digital side, there's the making content, and there's the actually getting out there in person, going to conferences, meeting with people. And I find that people who are very comfortable at conferences are often camera shy, and I find a lot of people who are comfortable on camera are afraid to, or like to hide behind the screen.
Yeah, there's no edit button at the conference.
If you want to be as successful as possible, as you darn well should, then you need to get comfortable doing both.
I love that. I mean, the biggest point there is you can't become great at anything unless you do it enough times, that you have enough failure, you know the adjustments, you start to find your lane, you start to get comfortable. And especially with like creating content on video, you have to be able to see yourself and hear yourself. You start to see some idiosyncrasies that you have. You got to know how to shore those up and kind of lean into the other ones. And it's really one of those things where you almost have to put the content out for others to see it, but you also have to see it.
You have
so you know how to make the changes.
You have to see it, and it can be very humbling. But growing your own business comes with a lot of tough things, such as being humble, such as worrying when cash flow slows down when you've invested heavy. It can also be very lonely. There's 98 employees for every 2 employers. That is made up statistic, but just saying that you're not the norm by having your own business. But the freedom you get, the ability to grow to your true potential, not be held back by someone else, is a wonderful thing.
The second thing that you mentioned is culture. which I think that, there's some people who will hear that and roll their eyes and be like, all right, enough of company culture and this and that. And then there's other folks, I personally think that it's really important. And when I say culture, I don't mean the foosball tables and the ping pong tables. I mean a competitive culture, a culture of kindness, a culture of encouragement, a culture of competition. I think that starts at the top. It's got to bounce down at the bottom, and it's got to roll all the way back up to the top. And it's kind of like it's got to work in a circle. It's a living, breathing thing. So how do you kind of curate a culture? They say in sports that really great teams kind of take on the personality of their coach. I think really great brands are the same way. They take on the personality of their leader. So how do you get your best attributes to kind of download into your team and be conscious of maybe some of the things that you're not great at and have others step up and do those?
So, John, it is important to understand that, yes, the head of the company, their style is going to permeate throughout the entire company. That's going to be the model for how everybody else behaves. However, the head of the company is very much shaped by having the right team. So if you have the right employee, they're going to make you a better leader. And if you're a good leader, you're going to make them a better employee. So it does work both ways. There's a few principles that we have at our firm that I talk about frequently to our team and speak about publicly as well. Above all, it's integrity. I want to be able to sleep well at night. I'd like to make a buck, but I'm not compromising doing the right thing in my heart under any circumstances. I don't care if I ever make another dollar. I'm going to live a life where I feel I'm being honest and true to myself. And I want my whole team to have that philosophy as well. You can get ahead by cheating for a little while, but in the long run, it's going to hurt your business. It's going to hurt your health, and it could kill you. So number one, I talk about that. I talk about that often. Number two, professionalism. There's not a more professional law firm out there. We are very responsive. We're very professional in how we conduct ourselves with clients. Number three, no BS. And this is a very important thing because so many law firms were started a long time ago by attorneys who never left the 1980s, who don't understand basic social media, who can't even spell AI. It's unfortunate I guess it's fortunate for us as a competitor to some of these other firms. But meetings that have no point, that waste other employees' time, is something that other employees dislike, and it hurts the firm culture. We do have meetings, but they're rare enough that our team, I think, actually looks forward to the occasional getting together, whether via Google Meets call or an in-person meeting. And finally, I'm trying to sort out exactly how to put this, but somewhere between work should be fun, or at least work shouldn't suck.
Yeah,
we don't tolerate any disrespect, certainly not within our team. But that's not really an issue because we've got the right team in place. And if there ever was someone who's not right, being a business owner, it's the least fun part about the job. But you've got to fire someone sometimes. Clients are the same. If a client's having a bad day, we'll be patient with them. We all have a bad day from time to time. However, if a client is routinely disrespectful, we're going to part ways with them. It's my job to protect my team from disrespectful customers, and I would basically be abusing my own employees if I was allowing an abusive client to stay around.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of leading with integrity, conducting yourself professionally, having fun, and treating your team well. And once you have that, once you've got the right culture, nobody can steal your business. Nobody can just go and copy what you're doing. I've got lots of people out there who copy my content. That's okay. They can't copy my culture. That's part of our DNA.
Yeah. So do you find that your culture is now starting to kind of bleed out into the marketplace? You feel it in the four walls of the building. You feel it on the Zoom calls. You feel it in the way that communication happens through emails and back and forth. But are you starting to feel it kind of penetrate the market where companies and clients are saying, yeah, hey, by the way, Blake, the reason why we stick with you is because of how your culture aligns with us? We
have been told, and I've heard this from people as far as away as Switzerland, as far as away the South Pacific and the Cook Island, and it's it's very apparent, we are the disruptor in the industry. I've been asked, how did you get into this industry? Did you have family in this industry? No, I did not have family in this industry. It took a lot of cold calling. It took a lot of partnering with other attorneys and agreeing to give them the majority of the fees for the first very large number of clients that I brought in. It took travel. I've been to over 40 different countries. At times I've just walked into banks or walked into trust companies unannounced. It really took quite a while to build out the network that we have. And now where we sit with the nation's largest exclusively asset protection law firm. According to ChatGPT, I'm the number one asset protection attorney in the world. We set the record for the most number of trust registers at a particular trust company, the oldest trust company in the Cook Islands last year. So we're changing things up in the industry, and we've got some big plans ahead for the coming years and how we're going to continue to improve the industry. And other attorneys are looking at us as to how they are supposed to operate in this industry. And I'm honored. When I see someone else copying the content, I realize that's just the highest form of flattery.
Sure.
When people are attending our CLEs and they reach out wanting to partner with us, we're happy to do that. We partner with a lot of other attorneys who want to provide this very technical niche area of the law to their customers.
Like you're a bolt-on. You know what's really cool is you can't pay off ChatGPT to say that. You can't bribe them.
I didn't even. I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah. Like you could do SEO, you could do pay per click and Google Analytics, and you could buy being number one on a page.
Can be bought.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. ChatGPT doesn't have a pay to play.
Yeah. Either you're saying it enough through your social media, and enough other people are saying it that they're grabbing onto it. Or
it's just accurate, John.
Or it's just accurate. Let's go. All right, even better. Boom. Let's drop the hammer on that one. Fair enough. Okay, so give us an idea. Like, it's a pretty cool look for you. Law's cool for an outsider, right? Law's more of like it's kind of a scary thing, but it's how you make your living. It's how you built your culture. It's how you support families. It's how you protect your customers. So I'm just curious, like, give us some cool stories of, maybe some elite clients that you've just done some really amazing stuff and just shocked the world and blew their head off, and they just couldn't believe how much value you created for them.
All right. Well, I do need to correct one thing. The law is not particularly cool.
Yeah.
The way I do it is friggin' cool. But I very much enjoy what I do. I'm passionate about it. I believe in it. Freedom does not exist without protection. That's what we do. We protect people so that they can have the freedom to enjoy their life and enjoy their retirement and provide it for their family as they wish and as they see fit. In terms of your question, repeat it one more time.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, like, give us a cool story.
Oh, cool story.
Like a cool story, like a high-profile client that, maybe was skeptical, and now they're like, oh my God, Blake, I can't believe you pulled this off, kind of a thing.
So at this point, a little bit over 5 years, somewhere 5 to 10 years ago, was contacted by an individual who had a trucking company. He'd built it from scratch over the past 20 years. He found a buyer for the company. They agreed to purchase the company for $12 million. He hired me, set up a Cook Islands trust. New owner takes over and does not understand the business as well as my client who'd built the business from scratch, and the business
so common.
Tanking.
Yeah.
And instead of taking responsibility for the business failing, he claims that the sale failed to disclose material information and tried to undo the transaction entirely, which was going to leave my client in debt because my client had already shared a portion of that $12 million with the IRS. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, because the client had established the Cook Islands Trust, he was able to negotiate and ultimately settled for somewhere around $150,000. Pennies on the dollar. I don't know how things would have turned out if he did not have the Cook Islands Trust, but I think it's safe to say that it turned out much better than it would have been had the trust never been established. And then during this time, or sometime thereafter, the client died. The client's son called me, and I remember his words, Blake, the trust worked exactly as you said it would.
That's awesome.
And that is something that's
just got to light you up.
Oh, yeah, totally. Knowing that you're able to help people and deliver on your promises and
protect a family legacy
and protect retirement, because at this point the client's wife was past the age of working.
Yeah.
And I don't know what a retirement would look like without the money, but it's going to be much better with it.
So there's probably business owners out there that are within 10 years of exit, right? and they've built up and accumulated some wealth and assets. They're still in the business, running and operating it. So they're not at the point where they could just, put a valuation on it and call it a day. They still have some work to do. But if you look at some of the stats, like so many companies don't have a succession estate plan. They don't have a trust. They don't have a will. They're profitable, but they're kind of operating off of cash flow. They're paying a lot in taxes. Like there's a lot of small businesses out there that are doing unbelievable work, but the system just breaks them. And even though they're doing amazing work, they really don't reap the benefits of it like somebody who has all the boxes checked. So talk to them a little bit about what they should be doing.
Well, let's talk about our current legal system. If you want to sue somebody, you don't have to post any money up front. You can take it on a contingency fee here in the United States. There's lots of attorneys who are advertising. So even if you don't have a reason to sue, attorneys can often suggest one for you. Once you start a case, you can amend it and change the reason you're suing.
That's crazy.
And eventually, defendants realize this case is so annoying to defend. I'd rather just pay a settlement and be done with it, even though it's a completely meritless case. And what ends up happening is people pay these settlements and they become victims of legal extortion. There are thousands of lawsuits filed every single day. There's over 10 million lawsuits filed every single year. There are billions of dollars ordered to be paid out in judgments every few days. Now let's flip the switch and say, well, I don't want to be targeted for a lawsuit, or at least not here in the United States. I'm going to set up a Cook Islands trust. What then happens? Number one, that plaintiff who brought their case on a contingency fee has to start their case entirely over in a foreign country where your U.S. attorney can't practice, and you cannot bring it on a contingency fee into Cook Islands. So now, all of a sudden, boom, you got to bust out $100,000 for bond plus legal fees. That right there is going to eliminate a lot of lawsuits. Number two, there's no amending a case in the Cook Islands. So if you start a case and later decide to change the reason for the lawsuit, you can't amend it. You have to start over.
Another one.
That time, there's a good chance statute of limitations has run. It becomes so hard to try to get money out of a Cook Islands trust that it is extremely rare anyone does. And when the trust is properly set up or has been properly set up, it's never failed to protect somebody's assets. So what we can do is help business owners avoid becoming targets of lawsuits by putting their money offshore inside of a trust.
IT decision makers, this might sting. Frustrated with IT issues, security threats, and the stress of your technology infrastructure, your technology should blend seamlessly with your business objectives. Technology infrastructure management with limited resources can be exhausting and counterproductive. Do you have an MSP but still have problems and technical hiccups? GSD's advisement, proactive maintenance, cutting-edge cybersecurity, cloud solutions, data backup, and local 24/7 help desk can change the game. Your technology should outpace your business operations to allow for growth, and proactive strategies should prevent issues before they arise. Get back your time and your money with GSD. Drive business forward. Leave the technology to GSD. GSDnow.com. Okay, so how much time did it take and research? 40 countries, probably more at this point, right? And growing. How much time and research did it take for you to discover the Cook Islands as the option? Because most of your content talks about Nevis and the Cook Islands, right? So those seem to be the two that you identified are the best.
So the three biggest asset protection jurisdictions, Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize. In terms of jurisdictions for setting up an asset protection trust, you've got domestic and offshore. The problem with domestic trust, or problem with domestic trust, is they can be disregarded by a domestic court. Article 4, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution requires full faith and credit be given to the judgments of other states. So let's say you set up a Nevada trust, but somebody has a court order from California. That trust could be compromised, and the case law supports this. If you want better protection, better settlement leverage, you have to look offshore. While there's more than 24 different options, there's only about 5 or 6 countries which routinely work with Americans: Nevis, Belize, Cook Islands, Cayman Islands, Bahamas, and BVI. Those are the most common ones which work with American citizens. However, of those, only 3 are actually good asset protection countries: Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize.
Yeah, you hear a lot about the Cayman Islands.
Cayman Islands.
Until I heard of you, I had never heard of Cook Islands or Nevis.
So you hear a lot about Cayman Island. It's a beautiful place. It's a very safe place. If you have to bank in the Caribbean, that'd probably be my recommendation, though I generally stay away from Caribbean banks. It is not a particularly asset protection friendly jurisdiction. For one, there's a minimum of a 6-year seasoning period before you get any protection. And the general mentality of the judiciary there is they're apprehensive of being known as an asset protection jurisdiction. If you want to form a hedge fund, I would probably look to Cayman Islands or BVI. But for an asset protection jurisdiction, Cook Islands, Nevis, and Belize. Belize, excellent law in place. However, it is not the most stable place to do business. The regulators there can be a little bit unpredictable. Nevis, another great country for asset protection. They don't have quite the length of history in terms of how long the law has been around or the case law to support it. Cook Islands is a very transparent and safe place to do business. It's increased distance from the United States over there by New Zealand as opposed to here in the Caribbean, decreases the chance that litigators going to want to go there to litigate. And its track record and reputation are all disincentives for people to try to go after Cook Trust.
Who would have known that jet lag could help you to protect your business, right?
It's distance is a real thing, and bodies of water form cultures and countries, very much so.
Yeah. So what's the hardest part about the business that you're operating with bouncing around? It sounds like you've gone through a natural maturation process of a solopreneur to an entrepreneur to a brand builder to a corporate CEO, which is like, you know what I mean? You kind of just gradually start to like you're doing everything, right? And then you've gotten to the point now where you're working the podcast circuit and you're creating content and you're really becoming the voice and face of the organization. You're probably the number one attorney at the organization as well. But you've had to give up a lot of control too and bring people into the equation and trust them. Like, how's that maturation process worked?
So I would say that a big part about it is conviction or faith or belief in your product, in your business, and the demand in your industry, and the people you bring on board. The growing of a business is not a steady uphill experience.
It's not linear?
No, not at all. No, not at all. It's a roller coaster. It goes high, it goes low, and when things go high, you have to remember this is not going to last forever, and when things slow down, you have to remember this is not going to last forever. And you have to believe that the business will succeed in the long run. Because if you don't do that, you're not going to be motivated to put out content, to go on podcasts, to continue to build your network. You have to believe in that, and you have to believe in your people. And this is why it's very important that you select the right people. You want people who are smart and capable and loyal. And then when you have that, though, then you become so empowered that you can focus on doing bigger things like working out deals with banks and trust companies so that your clients are getting better deals than they could get anywhere else with any of your competitors. You also want to be able to make sure that the team has the same vision, that you built the right culture. So the hardest part, I mean, it's tough to say what the hardest part is because there's a lot of challenge in the industry. The laws in the different countries changes. The banking regulations changes. The laws here in the United States change. There's a lot of people who love to shit on the industry that don't know what they're talking about. And I have to defend that, yes, it's legal to set up an offshore trust. I joke that one of the rumors in my family is what Blake does for work legal? Yes, what Blake does for work is completely legal. Is it ethical? Well, I will say this. I do not subscribe to the theory that there's anything honorable about being weak, about being unprotected, about being vulnerable. Mm-hmm. No, if you want to be honorable, you make yourself as strong as possible. If you're going to start a business, the first thing somebody's going to say is go register an LLC. Why? To protect yourself from lawsuit. Once you get a little bit more money, maybe buy a house, someone's going to say, well, set up a trust so that your kids don't lose it due to a divorce or lawsuit. Your assets grow from there. Somebody may suggest setting up a domestic trust, and once you get to $1-2 million in assets, somebody's going to say offshore trust, and all of a sudden people say, oh, whoa, what is this? The problem is the majority of Americans, not you, not me, and not the listeners and viewers to your show, but the rest can be very narrow-minded. Mm-hmm. Most Americans have never left the United States. Those who haven't. Most of them have not gone anywhere other than Canada or Mexico. But the individuals who are going to be most successful in the decades to come will look globally to solutions to the problems. If you want to host a dinner party, you're not going to order everything from here in Chicago. You're going to get your pasta from Italy. You're going to get your wine from France. You're going to get various different things from various different countries.
It's a specialty world now.
The best asset protection. You can look outside the United States.
Yeah. So why would family or friends or the world even question what you're doing is ethical? I'm just curious about, like, why would they even question that?
It goes back to that narrow-minded thing of anything outside the United States. Is that even necessary? I mean, for a long time, travel was thought of. If you need to see mountains, if you want to go skiing, you go to Colorado. If you want beaches, you go to Florida. The United States has everything you need. And America has this very America-centric mindset. But that's changing as the internet, as social media is allowing us to connect with people in other parts of the world. As plane tickets are coming down, more and more people are comfortable with doing things internationally. And then also there's the issue with how offshore trusts are portrayed in movies and TV in the media. You got the Wolf of Wall Street who's working with some crooked Swiss banker. And I guess the real day-to-day kind of boring part of what I do for work doesn't make good television.
Yeah. Or like the guys from Die Hard. Right, the bad guys from Die Hard. That comes to mind as being somebody that would use an offshore trust. But I mean, the reality is that I think that every small to mid-sized business owner who's put their blood, sweat, and tears into building a family business should consider it. Right?
I think it's something. Yeah, it's something you should definitely consider. Now, I will say, probably about 2/3 of the people who contact our law firm, we're not recommending an offshore trust for. Either their assets aren't there or we have something else that we recommend that they look into. But for quite a few people who contact our law firm, yes, we're able to put them in a much better position to survive a loss.
So what would it need to be? It would probably need to be the type of company that would have a lot of assets and a lot of likelihood of lawsuit.
So, well, it's really one or the other. The biggest misconception in my space is that asset protection offshore trusts only makes sense for very, very super high net worth individuals. And majority of my clients have somewhere between probably about one to two and maybe 10 to 20 million. So we'll call it, let's say, 2 to 20 million in assets is where the majority of my clients are. Not necessarily this super wealthy, but enough assets to protect.
Yeah.
We do have quite a few clients whose net worth is a little bit under $1 million, and we do have a handful of clients whose net worth is significantly above 10 million. But most of the people being sued have under $2 million in assets. And if you are worth $100 million and you get hit with a $5 million judgment, it's going to be kind of annoying, but it's not going to have any real effect on your standard of living. But if you're worth $3 million and there's a $5 million judgment, that could be devastating. And those are the people who really need the leverage to negotiate and push back and reach a settlement. And those are the people who really, I think, get the most peace of mind from having their assets protected.
So we talk about the power of three. We talk about, like, we had brought up culture. And I think another thing that, is a differentiator for a law firm is, like, what type of core values are you operating with and how are you working? And it would seem to me that one of the things that you've kind of set in your tone, especially with your content and just here today, is having the ethics and the authenticity that will draw people in. So I'm just curious, like, do you have a defined set of core values or a defined set of pillars that you operate by, that you lead with in your marketing, that you lead with in your branding, that kind of settles people and gives them peace of mind?
I was meeting with a mentor of mine yesterday. He's an attorney. He's probably about 15 years older than me. And anything he recommends I do, I will hire him without question.
Yeah.
And it's because I trust what he says. And it takes a long time to get to that level of trust. But once you have that, you can own any room, any situation, any conversation that you have. And that's very much the pinnacle of everything we do. This pendant that I wear around myself, it was gifted to me by an assistant of mine, which he blessed, and we call the Rock of Integrity. And it's a reminder to, of course, obey the law. And I don't necessarily say obey all the rules. There's times where breaking rules is okay. Don't break laws, but maybe breaking rules. But don't do what doesn't feel right in your heart.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of value in being able to sleep at night. And I've seen where other professionals, they may cheat a little bit. And it does often, probably I would say even usually, get you ahead for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
But in the long run, that's going to cost you. It's going to cost you your reputation when people realize that you're a cheat. It's also going to cost you your health. And I don't want to be someone who builds this great business and dies when I turn 60.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to see the fruits of my labor and see my family grow for a long period of time. So above all else, integrity. Number 2, professionalism and communication. We run a virtual practice, but we also communicate frequently with our team. I encourage FaceTimes and Google Meets and a lot of communication within the team. And then third is the enjoyment factor, that I want to create a job, not just for myself, but everyone on my team, where they enjoy the experience. And customers see that. If you are working with a firm where people hate their job, there's going to be more turnover and things get lost in turnover.
Mm-hmm.
When you've got a team that they all really love what they do and they're committed to it and they're enjoying watching it grow and they're being paid appropriately and they're being compensated well, they stay loyal. And loyalty shows, and loyalty is something that you want among a law firm that you are trusting to move your money overseas.
Absolutely. I guess I'm curious, as you were talking, you brought up the term loyalty, and it struck me before when you said that. Is there anything that you could recommend in the way of building that loyalty, not only internally but externally, that you feel like you've kind of implemented and it's really worked out well for you?
So I've got a couple of thoughts on that. One is very much selection. You can't take a psychopath and turn them into someone who's loyal.
Yeah.
But it also makes me think about another client of mine who, he was about 27 years old and was worth about $20 million. And then one day his dad stopped by my office and I said to him, you and your son have this really great relationship. He's doing really well. How did you manage to have such a good relationship with your son? Have such a transparent relationship with your son? And he said, don't lie to your son and your son won't lie to you.
Mm.
And I said, all right, this is good. Give loyalty to your team and they'll give loyalty back to you. I ask a lot of my team. We are a firm that can probably accomplish a lot more than firms several times our size because we cut out all the BS, because we empower our team to make decisions on their own. But if a member of my team needs me for anything, anywhere in the world, anytime, I'm there for them. If there's ever an issue, they know I've got their back. I give them all the tools, resources they need to do their job well. And with that, they've seen loyalty from me. And in turn, I feel I have a lot of loyalty from them.
Yeah. I like the idea of, if you give them the tools,
give them the
right?
tools, yes.
Just give them the tools to succeed.
I do not fear my team going to break off and compete against me. I'm aware it's possible, but I think it was Steve Jobs or someone said, well, what happens if you train your employees and they leave? Well, what happens if you don't train your employees and they stay?
Yeah.
And I very much take the mentality that for as great of an asset protection attorney as I am, if we've got 3, 5, 10 asset protection attorneys as great as me, my team just became so far ahead of any other husband and wife, smaller law firm out there.
So completely different subject, but I'm curious, how did you go about the process of determining your kind of marketing methodology of how you were going to present yourself, present your personal brand in order to represent and run parallel with your corporate brand? Because one of your posts on TikTok went viral. I mean, it hit pretty hard. And most of your following, I would imagine, came from that post and then has stayed with you. But it was a buildup. If you go back to the beginning of when you started, it was a buildup and then boom, one hit, and then it's just kind of continued from there. So I'm just curious, like, was that contrived? Was that curated, or did you just deliver a message and it hit, and then you're like, okay, based on that message, I'm going to then continue to do more of this?
So a lot of my best performing videos are videos of me saying things that I've already said 1,000 times. So it comes off very smooth, but it's not something that I just rehearsed for that particular video. With that, I have a very calm demeanor to me sometimes. And
I feel like you have another switch, another gear that could hit pretty hard.
I mean, I'm a very high energy person.
Yeah.
I can't. I've been told I'm not allowed to drink coffee on days I'm meeting with anybody. I can be too much energy. But at the same time, I do have a very Buddha with
some zen,
some zen. But in terms of building the company brand, building my personal brand, the best thing I've done in terms of building a company brand is narrowing down what my firm does. We are a very niche focused firm to focus exclusively on offshore trust. There's very few law firms, very few attorneys who focus exclusively on offshore trust.
What do they say? Riches and niches?
Riches and niches. You are able to become much better in your field if you niche down. If I was trying to also be a divorce attorney and a car accident attorney, even a probate
confusing
attorney, I'm not going to develop the level of expertise that I've developed by being exclusively focused on offshore asset protection. Also, the marketing side of it. If you're talking about a lot of different things, nobody's going to know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
If you talk about one thing, Blake's the offshore trust guy.
He's the guy.
He's and I haven't used this term publicly yet, but I'm going to drop it. On the podcast.
We have an exclusive.
It's what I use. It's the name of my Wi-Fi at home. Offshore Daddy. He's the offshore daddy.
I love it.
He's the one. You might have heard, you may have seen on Instagram when I have my team together, sometimes I'll call ourselves the offshore gangsters. And we can do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, we conduct ourselves with the utmost honesty and we obey every law that the bar puts down, that the federal state government puts down. So we're far from gangsters in that regard. But also I have my team come and fight Muay Thai with me. And I would guarantee that my team could take on any other asset protection.
Yeah, my dad will beat up your dad.
Our law firm inside of a ring would beat any other asset protection.
See, most law firms are just playing softball after work, man. You're like taking people to the cage. You're cage fighting.
Yep. Yeah, it's
that's a whole different level.
But I hear from my team like it's really nice when you get to punch your boss in the face a couple of times before work.
Yeah.
On the
problem is your boss hits back. So
the boss does hit back. That's
just come from the turf, guys. He's not like a punching dummy. This is a battle, okay?
And with that, it shapes the mind to this idea that we are strong, that we're going to win, that we're going to get the client, that we're going to deliver the better service. So that's a corporate brand, be niche. On the personal brand, I followed influencers beyond the law, and I really like the style of people who are authentic.
Me too.
I think Elon Musk said it best that this idea that being super proper all the time is the secret to success is nonsense. Real people really like real people, and I'll make a joke about various different things online. I'm more comfortable, and I'm comfortable with it. And overall, the feedback from clients is we like this.
Okay, so I'm just going to be completely blunt because I made 2 comments about it already. So I'm going to make the third. That's like the rule of comedy, kind of. You go with the jacket, right? Here's what I love about it. You're an attorney. You come in with this jacket on. It completely it set me at ease. Like, okay, he's got some flavor to him. This is going to be fun. He's going to be, yes, he's an intellectual. Yes, he's sophisticated. Yes, he's well-trained. Yes, he's good. But this is also a dude. This is a guy I can talk to, right? So I think that showing up that way on social media, but then being that way in person, that's another thing that sets me at ease. Because it's like, wait a minute, he's the same guy I see in the car with the camera on and the guy in the car going, hey, Blake, tell me about Offshore. And you're like just answering the question, looking over at the camera, and then you show up. That is exactly, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a small to mid-sized business owner, this is the playbook. You have how you show up in person has got to be how you show up on LinkedIn, Instagram, 100%. TikTok.
Yes.
Because I don't want to know two people.
Correct.
Oh, and by the way, like, I don't know anything about offshore law. I don't know anything about asset protection. The idea of it is intimidating to me in itself. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go on, I'm going to look at your social media, and I'm going to see your delivery. And then I go, well, wait a minute. You know what? This seems like a guy that I actually could get a drink with. I could have a sandwich with. Oh, he's kind of fun too. Oh, well, he's pretty damn sophisticated. So now you're showing the layers of who you are, but it's not like it's not like contrived, that it's not a persona. It's you actually who you are. That for me that's branding. That's what it's all about.
Yep, and people would much rather connect with that. When I started in the practice of law, I was wearing a suit and tie every single day. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I needed to appear like it. Now that I've gotten more comfortable with what I'm saying, I'm more comfortable in how I dress. I do like to wear a little something that keeps you remembered. It doesn't do any good if people forget.
It's kind of important, to be front of mind. It's always interesting. I've had a couple times. In fact, I'll just tell you, at the golf course that I play at, I'm playing with a guy. He nudges me and he goes, "See that guy right there?" I go, "Oh yeah, okay." And the guy's got like on jean shorts, right? And he's got like a t-shirt on. He's at a golf course and he's putting. He goes, "That's the richest guy at the course. He's got more money than you'll ever make." And I thought to myself, that's freaking cool. Like, unassuming.
I can pick out the richest person at a conference because they're the most casually dressed.
Yeah. It's so they're just like, "Hey, look, this is who I am. Take it or leave it, brother."
Yep.
I love that.
Yep. No need to flex. Correct.
Yeah. So, what are next steps for the brand? Like, you've gotten to this point. What's the big vision? Like, do you have a BHAG? You're already international, right? So, like, what's the next big project you're working on, or the next big move you're making?
So I am speaking with members in several different countries at the government level as well as at the trust company level, and trying to come up with a solution where we can get clients onboarded much faster. Right now, it takes about 30 days to get a trust established. I believe that I can get that down to maybe 3 days. On top of that, bank accounts can take about 4 to 6 weeks to open. I think we can get that time chopped in half.
God, that's kind of scary. Like, from point of contact, make the decision, and then it's 30 days. If something happens in between that's got to cause you to lose some sleep on the onboarding process.
Yes, and simply, I grew up in the internet age, and I want results quickly. I deliver responses quickly to my team and my clients, and getting people from some of these other countries that are used to operating a little bit more on island time, or a little bit more of that, I shouldn't say this, but lazy European feel. It's not a great fit for the American client base, which is 95% of our clients. Yeah. So trying to build out a better system internationally, which gives our clients more confidence, can even streamline pricing and have them get their results, get their trust set up a lot quicker. It's definitely something that I'm making moves to make happen, and I'll have more of an update on that before the end of the year.
Awesome. If we were going to find you somewhere not working, what would you be doing?
Well, I'm not always working. I mean, maybe my mind is always working, but in the morning I wake up, I walk Miami Beach, I'll hit the Muay Thai gym for about 45 minutes, I'll walk back. I am headed to a special place in the Caribbean in a few days. It's one of the countries we just mentioned, but I'm going with my kids. I'm not going to say which one, but it's a love spending time down there and just unplugging and not having anything that's keeping us busy. Other than that, I do travel quite a bit. For most of my travel, 90% of it is for work, but when I'm over in Kuala Lumpur for a conference, I will maybe bounce over for a couple of weeks of some Muay Thai training in Phuket, Thailand. I like good food, I like good wine, I like all the good things in life. So I've got a lot that I enjoy doing. I've got friends in Florida, but I've got friends spread out all over the United States and all over the world, and spending time with them, spending time with my kids, spending time with my family, I very much enjoy doing. So, and I share a lot of that on social media as well. Like, don't post the children, but otherwise, most all of my life, I'm very transparent about. Yeah.
Are you a reader?
Not as much as most attorneys.
Okay.
But go ahead.
If you were going to read something, like, where do you go? You go to escape? Do you go to learn?
I enjoy books on communication. I enjoy learning more about how to read and communicate with people. I have a spiritual side as well. I've read some books on finding our purpose. I mean, I say that my job is not who I am, but it's a reflection of who I am, and making sure that I am the right at my soul and is very important for running a good, clean business. So I'm a writer. I've wrote a book, Don't Let a Lawsuit Take Away Everything, which you can check out on Amazon. And
Don't let a lawsuit take away everything. Love that.
I like it too.
It's right here on his LinkedIn page. You got to go to Blake Harris Law or go to Blake Harris, right? And in fact, go to both pages, and you'll see his tagline: "Don't let a lawsuit take away everything." You can buy that book on Amazon, so that would be fantastic to support Blake. What is the purpose? Have you discovered that? What do you think is the greater purpose?
What is
for you?
For me, because I don't think everyone has the same purpose.
No, we're all here on a mission.
We're all here on a mission to spread God's love for all of humanity.
Amen.
And the way I will do that is by being a role model and how I live my life. And I take my work seriously, and I try my best to become as wealthy as possible. And I do this through empowering my team and providing good service for my clients. But I also do it through taking good care of myself physically and mentally, and being a role model for anyone out there who wants to look to me as a role model, whether we ever meet or not. That's very much I believe, my purpose.
Awesome. How does somebody enter into a relationship with your firm? What's the best way to get a hold of you if they're curious about this? How can they reach out to you, or should they have a different entryway to speak with somebody else first, and then they would kind of qualify and then get to you? What's the best point of entry?
So Blake Harris Law, that's all you need to remember. BlakeHarrisLaw.com is our website. I believe it's probably the single greatest source of information on offshore asset protection on the internet. So BlakeHarrisLaw.com. You can call us, you can fill out a contact form, or connect through any of our socials on all the major platforms at Blake Harris Law. I respond to DMs on Instagram and all platforms. So just contact us. Happy to jump on a call. It'll either be me or another member of my team who takes the call. But as a client of ours, or as a potential client of ours, I'm more than happy to get on a call.
Perfect.
Personally.
Let's wrap this bad boy up with a couple of nuggets that you could share with us. Number one, what is the best advice that you've been given?
So that really depends on the circumstances and stage of life that I was in.
Okay. Then give us a few.
Then give a few. You become your friends. That's definitely a important.
You become your friends.
You become.
What does that mean?
Take your 5 closest friends. What they're making 5 years from now will probably, on average, be your salary. Same thing with what time they go to bed, or how many hours a week.
Interesting.
They work. Happiness is a choice.
I agree with that.
And if you want to make the people around you happy, be happier yourself. Believe in yourself. You are stronger mentally, physically, and spiritually than you realize. Patience is a good thing, and patience is a bad thing. Family is important, but you want to navigate your family appropriately. Every family could occupy a full hour on the Jerry Springer show, and having healthy and appropriate boundaries is important. But I don't believe that going no contact with a family member is generally the right thing to do. I think the right thing to do is get yourself so strong mentally, physically, and spiritually that you can have a relationship with everyone. Operate from a place of love and generosity. It will come back to you. Be careful who you trust, but to be more successful, you need to build a team of people you trust. Best advice.
You literally just built the core values for a company. Like, if somebody was starting a company and they were like, what, we should probably have some principles and some core values. Just play that clip. And take that and screen print a t-shirt and put it on a t-shirt and slap it on your wall. Like, those are really, really good principles that an organization could be founded on and have the foundation of.
And I'll wrap it up with one more piece of advice. Fear no evil.
Amen. Blake Harris, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure. This has been a very clean, succinct, and powerful episode. You guys know that I like to talk in circles. Blake doesn't allow that. He got right to the point, baby. And I hope that you've gotten a lot of value out of this. I know that I have. Right to the point. Look, if you have a business, you know somebody who has a business, you built up some assets in the $2 to $20 million range, and you want to protect them by playing the game. That's really what it is. It's a game of life. It's a game of business. And if you play a game, you guys know in playing a game that you should play the game to win, which means that you should try and put yourself in a position where you take advantage of every advantage. Blake's an advantage. He's an advantage to your business. Like, what are we doing here, people? So someday, when this guy knows what the hell he's doing and builds a $2 million to $20 million asset portfolio, I know who I'm calling. I'm calling Blake Harris because I got to tell you, sir, you got shit done. Congratulations.
John, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Pleasure.
Rock and roll.
Cheers. Can your business handle 15% growth? If yes, you have to engage with 2020 Design. They fuse data and creativity to stop the scroll, break through the noise, and grab the attention of your future customers. 2020 Design will create competitive, click-worthy campaigns, design and build custom websites, spark your social media presence, and structure email campaigns that get right to your audience, the decision maker. Let's boost attention and awareness, which allows you to convert more sales. Check them out at 2020design.com. That's the number 20, TWENTY design.com.